Welcome to Nasdaq TradeTalks. I'm your host, Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. We are wrapping up our coverage in Hong Kong at SmartCon 2024, brought to you by Chainlink. Joining me for our last segment, we have Sergey Nazarov. He's co-founder of Chainlink, and we're here to discuss the improvements and innovations that are needed to really bring blockchain technology and tokenized assets to the mainstream. Sergey, as always, thank you for having Trade Talks here. Amazing event this year in Hong Kong. Let's talk about some of the blockchain improvements and innovations that are needed to manage the trillions of dollars that are potentially available for tokenized assets.
Sure, so those trillions of dollars are in the traditional financial system that has certain expectations about how money is managed and risk is managed. What the blockchain industry needs is the ability to provide privacy, the ability to integrate various pieces of critical data into smart contracts, and the ability to create interoperability across chains so liquidity can flow into all of these assets. So once you have privacy, data, and interoperability, you can serve the TradFi value in a way that it can migrate into blockchains, because without all of those capabilities, if something is in private, if it doesn't have the relevant data to comply, and if it isn't able to work in a way that is compliant, it just won't flow into the ecosystem. So solving those issues and making sure that you can do it in a way that interoperably connects all the chains and allows all the liquidity from all the chains to interact with the asset are really the things that are necessary at this point.
Well, it comes down to user experience at the end of the day. Let's talk about data for a moment here. How are Chainlink's data feeds evolving to support complex financial services and products?
So here at the conference, we released a set of data products called Smart Data. That's for asset servicing, so like fund administration, tokenized funds from the asset management industry, key pieces of data like NAV, AUM, yield calculations, which are necessary requirements for making more advanced tokenized assets like tokenized funds. So I think the way the Chainlink data category is evolving is lots of low latency data going onto public chains for perp DEX usage, lots of data feeds for DeFi to continue to grow DeFi, and lots of smart data for asset servicing of more traditional financial products that are migrating on chain from the traditional world.
Let's talk about Chainlink specifically. What are your strategic goals for platform development and market expansion in the coming year?
So the Chainlink runtime environment is a very exciting new dimension of what the Chainlink ecosystem can provide to developers, because it can condense the complexity of multiple chains and multiple Oracle networks and multiple payment systems into a single piece of code running in a single environment, the Chainlink runtime environment. And so I think in addition to providing all these new data capabilities, connecting more chains together, providing identity data, providing all these kind of critical building blocks, the next step is to make those critical building blocks easy to compose into a single application that works across chains in an efficient and secure way. So the Chainlink runtime environment is a kind of necessary computing infrastructure or set of computing capabilities that hasn't really existed in the blockchain industry. And historically, when capabilities like this appear and help developers coordinate many new technologies, you start to see a big financial boom. COBOL did this in the 70s. The Java runtime environment did this in the 90s, and the Chainlink runtime environment, I think, can do it for the blockchain industry.
Yeah, I mean, I've been covering Chainlink for 5 years now, and I've seen the evolution and the trajectory of that. So, you're powering the next financial system revolution, is what it sounds like.
Yeah, we already have the data services, the connectivity services. We're injecting lots of identity. So we have the building blocks. Now we need an environment in which those building blocks can be woven together efficiently into thousands and eventually millions of applications. This is how the first set of financial applications in the 70s came into existence. This is how in the 90s the first financial applications on the web came into existence. And now these more advanced blockchain applications will come into existence because there's a runtime environment where they can be composed from many Oracle networks, many chains in one piece of code on that runtime environment. So this is, I think, the big next step for Chainlink and the big next step for the blockchain industry. And just like Chainlink made DeFi happen and made lots of other great categories of smart contracts come to life, I think the Chainlink runtime environment can have a even larger effect on the blockchain industry.
And finally, Sergey, as we wrap coverage here at SmartCon, what do you want attendees and the audience to walk away with?
I think it's fascinating how many times we've heard from the DeFi community and the TradFi community that they're looking at how to collaborate, and that those collaborations are starting to take real practical shape. That is really the premise of this year's SmartCon, is this theme of convergence of the DeFi world and the TradFi world. And the reason Chainlink is a natural community to do that is because Chainlink creates the standards that both of those communities use to transact within their own community. And so those standards can now be utilized for them to transact across those two communities. But the most exciting conversations I was having in the panels that I was part of moderating were the ones where the TradFi community and the DeFi community were talking about how their systems can interoperate with each other and provide greater value to both of their user bases. And that's really the dynamic I think we're going to see more and more in the blockchain industry. And so the blockchain industry will become not just about cryptocurrencies, but it'll increasingly become about cryptocurrencies and stablecoins and tokenized funds and various real-world assets. And I think eventually the real-world assets and stablecoins and tokenized funds will actually become larger than the cryptocurrency dimension of the blockchain industry, just like there was a period when the internet was about email, but then many other capabilities and services and user experiences came to life on the internet, and the internet is still about email, but it's not predominantly about email. It's about email and about 15 other great user experiences like e-commerce and online trading and 15 other great things you can do on the internet. So I think that's kind of the trajectory that we're on.
All right, Sergey, appreciate the insight. As always, thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. And thanks for joining me from SmartCon 2024 in Hong Kong. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.
Thank you.